Hello again, and welcome back to the Slow Flowers Podcast with Deborah Prinzing, episode 477. This is the weekly podcast about American flowers and the people who grow and design with them. It's all about making a conscious choice, and I invite you to join the conversation and the creative community as we discuss the vital topics of saving our domestic flower farms and supporting a floral industry that relies on a safe, seasonal, and local supply of flowers and foliage. This podcast is brought to you by slowflowers.com, the free nationwide online directory to florists, shops, and studios who design with American-grown flowers, and to the farms that grow those blooms. It's the conscious choice for buying and sending flowers. And thank you to Florist Review Magazine. I'm delighted to serve as contributing editor for Slow Flowers Journal, found in the pages of Florist Review. Read our stories at slowflowersjournal.com. Our first sponsor thank you goes to Longfield Gardens, which provides home gardeners with high-quality flower bulbs and perennials. Their online store offers plants for every region and every season, from tulips and daffodils to dahlias, caladiums, and amaryllis. Check out the full catalog at Longfield Gardens, that's longfield-gardens.com. Quick announcement before we get started. Last week, we promoted a giveaway for one VIP pass to the Florvana Virtual Summit Holiday Edition, taking place online this week through today. The winner is a podcast listener and aspiring flower grower, Jenny Hulbert, a wellness coach and host of the Wild Wellness podcast. Congratulations, Jenny. And thank you to Sean Michael Foley of Florvana for that donation. If you're interested in grabbing your own VIP all-access pass to the conference, I've shared the link in today's show notes. You'll enjoy more than 25 floral design and business presentations, including my new session called Taking Stock, Writing Your 2020 Year in Review and 2021 Forecast with Creative Intent. And guess what? We have another course giveaway today. Our guest today, Ellen Frost of Local Color Flowers, is giving away a complimentary registration to her new online workshop, Growing Your Business with Local Flower Sourcing. Ellen's 6-week course begins January 4th, 2021, and the course value is $495. This is a generous giveaway. For listeners of this podcast, be sure to make a comment in the show notes blog post at deborahprinzing.com for episode 477 and tell us one of your favorite ways to source locally grown flowers. All comments posted by midnight Pacific time on Sunday, November 8th will be entered into a random drawing for Ellen's course. And for everyone else, click on the link I'll share to sign up for notifications when that registration opens, which only goes from November 16th to November 20th. I'm excited for the winner already. Election Day in the U.S. is coming up in just 6 days, and I've been wowed by the creative gestures of floral activism from our Slow Flowers members across the country. I've invited one of those members to share what she's doing in her community as a bonus interview. Let's jump right in and meet Sarah Wagstaff of Suat Farm and Flowers in Burlington, Washington. I'm so excited to have a bonus interview today, and it's with my friend Sarah Wagstaff, and Sarah owns Suat Farm and Flowers in Burlington, Washington, which is halfway between Seattle and Vancouver, BC, I would say. Hi, Sarah.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thanks for jumping on the line with me. And that's about right. I'm placing you on the map correctly, right?
Yep, you got it.
Okay, great. Well, we kind of know each other through personal friendship too, because your mother-in-law and I were Horticultural Society buddies forever. So shout out to Dawn for bringing you into my life and introducing us.
I'm super lucky to have both of you.
Well, it's fun to see what you're doing. And thanks to Instagram, I see what you're doing every day because you post a lot. And can you first of all describe Suat Farm and Flowers? Like, 'cause you have a hybrid business, it looks like.
Sure. So I grow a number of different cut flowers and foliages, grasses, seeds, vines, pods, all kinds of different cool crops, anything that piques my interest mostly. And I have been selling wholesale for a while, but with the transition and shift of the world and COVID, then and also the purchase of a property nearby to where we live, I've transitioned into doing quite a bit more kind of, I guess it would be retail floristry. So daily and weekly deliveries. And we put up a farm stand this summer as a way to move product and be physically in our community.
Right.
And it's been a wonderful space.
So you're a farmer florist now, lady.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Well, this year in particular, obviously has forced a lot of change on you. And it sounds like you're just really adept at I hate to use the word pivot, but adept at changing and seeing opportunities and just jumping on them and like becoming someone who does local deliveries. That wasn't in your game plan originally, was it?
Well, I would hardly call it force. I feel like pivot is a great word. I think in any instance, we're reactionary and proactive with the choices that we make in any portion of our lives, whether that's a financial portion or a personal values portion. But I feel super blessed to have resources that have allowed us to pivot and continue to provide flowers for our community. So
yeah. Well, and your community being Burlington, about how big is your community? It's I don't even know how big the town is or city. It's a small city, right?
Oh, great. Totally putting me on the spot. I did not research how many.
No, that's okay.
Well, I know. Yeah, I would say I consider our area to be Skagit. And so that includes a number of different cities, Burlington and Mount Vernon, Bow and Edison, Anacortes, LaConner, Cedar Woolley. We have a number of different communities here. I'm sure I'm leaving out some awesome cities that need to be mentioned. But my husband is a city councilman, so he would probably wag his finger at me not knowing how many. But I think we have, I don't know, like probably 7,000 residents. So it's a small town, but the Skagit Valley region is quite a bit larger than that.
That's
and
right.
Spans a lot of demographic area. Yeah.
Well, I forgot your husband ran for city council successfully. That's cool.
He is an awesome guy.
And that's on the Burlington City Council.
True.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I was also going to say there's a lot of traffic coming and going through Burlington because it's close to a lot of major highways and interstates. So maybe that's why you're more visible with what you're doing as well. I mean, you have this property that you're using as your billboard, and that's what I want to talk to you about.
I think specifically the region that we're in is just perfect. I hate to use that word, but it is so well suited for growing things, anything. We have such a temperate climate with the ocean nearby. And then we have the mountains just to the east of us that drop all of the moisture here in this fertile, Delta Valley where a river flows right through. I mean, it's pretty idyllic. And so to grow anything is almost too easy. And we're so blessed with an amazing growing climate. And so there are a number of flower growers and food producers and seed producers in the valley. So yeah, we are super blessed in that regard. But we do have our the site where my studio is specifically is on Highway 20 and pretty close to I-5 and close to 2 train lines.
Wow.
So we have all of the traffic, and Burlington is actually nicknamed Hub City because it's kind of like the what are those called? Spokes of a hub, all meeting in the center where a bunch of different transportation lines converge. And so since we have this spot, I felt like it was our responsibility to be stewards of this place and really express how we are going to do that and what is important to us and what we feel like is important to the place.
So this property is where your studio is, and there's a lot. I mean, I haven't physically seen it; I've just seen it online. But it's just a tall, very long fence facing a high traffic thoroughfare. Correct?
Right. It runs the length of the property, which is the long side of the property. And it's very public facing and was completely overgrown and filled with rubbish and garbage and to-go containers and blackberry. And when we bought the property, I have been slowly renovating it and restoring it to something that's useful and beautiful and can give back to the place and to the community, and hopefully, pay homage to ancestors that lived on this land.
So now you've got this giant blank fence, and you decided to embellish it with floral messages. What is hanging currently? This is kind of timely because obviously the election day is coming up.
Sure. It's October right now of 2020. It's still 2020. I don't know if you guys can believe that, but it is October, and I really felt like it was important to talk about what we want our future to look like. Mm-hmm. And so I just put a message that says very clearly with flowers, and then the backdrop is greenery that says vote. So just 4 letters, and it spans probably 40 or 50 feet. It's a big, long, open fence.
Right. So the V, the O, the T, and the E are each kind of florals spelled out in flowers and foliages. And roughly how tall are those letters? Is that an 8-foot fence?
The fence is, about 7 feet, I would say, are the letters. Wow. There's a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom.
It's pretty impactful. And just to see it on a little video that you posted on Instagram. But I'm wondering, when people drive by, what are you observing? I mean, is there a stoplight there? Are people going by at 60 miles an hour, or are they able to slow down and sort of take it all in?
So there's no stoplight, and it's a state highway, but since it's going through a residential area right here, and there's a train crossing, traffic slows. Mm-hmm. I would say people are going by between 25 and maybe even 40 if they're speeding. Mm-hmm.
but they can't miss it.
Yeah. It's the side, it feels like it's the broadside of a barn. It's pretty large, and it is colorful and floral. So it stands out amidst the other things in the landscape. And so often as I'm out there working or, mowing, especially when we were working on the installation, people will drive by and honk or wave or say, "Hey, that looks awesome," or, their solidarity, which is wonderful. I've had multiple times people roll down their windows and say, "That's pretty cool." And I'll turn around and ask, "Hey, do you want to help? There's plenty of flowers here." And people have pulled over and stopped and spent 20 minutes, an hour flowering and hanging up, I call it putting my compost on the fence, but these are live flowers that have recently been cut, and so they're just beautiful, and it really makes a difference. And they last surprisingly long, out of water, just hung through some netting that's on the fence.
Mm-hmm. So. I was going to ask just a little bit about the mechanics of it all, because it's vertical, so it adds another layer of trickiness to mounting things. You're using netting that's like stretched on the fence?
Yeah. So earlier in the year, I did the first one, and that just said BLM for Black Lives Matter. And I wasn't sure the weight of the flowers, if it would take down my fence. So I had some hog paneling, just metal grid hog paneling that was behind some seine netting. So the hog paneling was at an angle, leaned up against the cedar fence. And then I stretched seine netting and secured it to the top rail. And then maybe 1 or 2 other connection points along. Mm-hmm. Yeah. With zip ties. And after the first one, I realized I don't think that the hog paneling was necessary. The seine net is pretty durable and can haul quite a few fish at a time. So as long as I had secured it to the fence, it would definitely hold the weight of a ton of flowers.
That's so cool.
So the grid on the seine is fairly small and acts kind of like chicken wire or, the mechanics that you'd use in a floral arrangement. Yeah. And so you just weave the stems in and down, and the head kind of holds them and counterweights the weight of the stem on the backside.
Oh, so they're not popping out. They're kind of have a couple points that are tacking down that base.
Right. And then the back of the fence kind of holds the stem in place as well.
Sure. Wow. Well, you mentioned the Black Lives Matter installation, the BLM, which of course those letters were about the same size as the vote letters. So I know
they were even larger since there's only 3 of them. They were substantially larger, but we didn't do a backdrop. Mm-hmm. And so those also contrasted really well against the light color of the fence. And then we did a red, white, and blue lettering with the BLM.
I know. I remember you shared that, and I can't remember if we did a blog post or something, maybe in an article. I have to go back and find that because I want to share that with people, because that was, it was again from the heart. Just you were just moved to express your values or your feelings, or just support with what you had: a fence and a bunch of extra flowers.
Yeah, and I wanted to thank, there's so many people that also dropped off and donated flowers from their own gardens that felt like they wanted a way to support and to show solidarity and compassion for people that have lost their lives unnecessarily. Mm.
So that, in a way, that kind of was your introduction to your floral activism in your community. And so people who saw that a couple months ago probably weren't surprised when a new message appeared this week or earlier this week, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's always been important to me to share what I believe with other people. I think that's kind of the point of being together on Earth and mm-hmm. having community. But with that giant, I feel like it's a billboard for us to be able to spread and share and communicate with others.
That's wonderful.
Things that are important to all of us and things that matter and affect everybody.
Mm-hmm. Have for both with the BLM and the vote messages, have you generally had, it sounds like, positive response from people obviously, like clients, and then complete strangers?
I feel like that. In general, I'm a positive person, and I'm trying to look for the good in people and in the world. But I have heard so many honks and so many waves and so many people stopping. People have left little notes and said, "Hey, thanks for doing that," or messaged me later and said, "I thought that was really cool that you did that." Or, like I said, tons and tons of people have stopped and have helped flower or have dropped off flowers later.
Well, I think that physical act of even placing a flower in a message, there's so much sense of, okay, I am part of a community, and I am one person, but I can speak out, and I can show, share my beliefs and feel like I'm doing something. It may not be an epic gesture, but it's a gesture that will change people's hearts, I think.
I think that's so true. And I think the reason that it is not because it's epic. It's so primal. It's a connection with something that is so much larger than ourselves. It is a connection returning us back to the land, back to nature, back to, the control that we don't have. They're reminding us how small we are when this little flower can survive and grow despite all odds and live after its head has been decapitated and continue to live and provide beauty and joy to others when it's hung on the fence. I mean, it is just truly a meditation of, a reminder of how small we are, but how long lasting our impacts can be.
And that back to that resilient message of the year. So I want to just thank you for
of our lives.
Yeah, I know, really.
And deaths.
I think that maybe what you can do on January 1st is put a 2021 up there and be like, finally.
Oh man.
Oh, except for, of course, your botanical ingredients will be a lot different in January than they are now. Have you had your first frost yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
So typically on the forecast, it's today's Friday. So it should be tonight. But the spot that we live and grow in is pretty protected by a hillside and a number of huge native cedar trees. And so I have found the past 6 or 7 years, we're about 3 weeks later than everyone else in the surrounding areas that's out in the flats or that's closer to the water. Mm-hmm. We're in this little sheltered area. So I cut a bunch of dahlias yesterday in preparation just in case. But crossing my fingers that we might have another couple weeks.
Oh, that'd be great. I hope that for you. I hope at least the vote message will remain until Election Day, but we still have about 10 days to go. So when people hear this, it will be October 28th, and it'll basically be 6 days to Election Day. So it is an ephemeral thing. It's, perishable product that's out in the elements and exposed to all of the weather, freezing, sun, rain, all of those. But with the last one and with this one, I intend to leave it up as long as possible, as long as it's not doing a disgrace to the message that it's promoting. But with the last one that we did this spring, quite a few of the flowers actually dried in place, and I reserve those and save those for a project that we'll be doing later. Oh, neat.
So I have right now on my desk, I have a ton of the roses that just dried on the fence that I've saved, and
that's
pretty cool.
That's sweet.
Cool reminder that we live on even after our life ends.
Right. And Sarah, you also mentioned when we chatted a couple days ago that you have a few buckets of flowers that are at the base of the fence. So if somebody does happen to pull over and come out to look at it, they'll be able to pick up a flower and add it to your installation.
Oh, please. Yes. It is a community project that anyone is welcome to participate in, and that needs no introduction and no explanation. You just take a flower and stick it in the fence. If it falls off, try again. You can kind of do like a little weaving like you practice in kindergarten, under, over, under, over. But it's just find whatever speaks to you and find the beauty, and you can kind of see what needs to be green and what needs to be floral. And if you want to mix and match those, that's also fine.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. However you want to participate is just great. And there are some buckets there. If it does frost, it'll be a little more challenging, but then still beautiful.
You'll add that cedar bough or something like that. Can you just say the location? And I'll try to put a detail in the show notes for today's episode so people can find it. But it's on Highway 20. And what's the intersection?
The cross street is Cherry Street, like a cherry tree, and the address is 329 North Cherry Street in Burlington, Washington. And there's some blue signs that say "Go this way," and you're welcome to park right in front of the building that looks like it's a floral studio and see the fence. So just stay safe and make sure to give yourself some space off of the road, that you're not impeding traffic or putting yourself in harm's way.
Yeah. Sarah, thank you so much for sharing that. You said you're going to have it photographed. So I know you have a couple great iPhone photos you shared with me, but we'll get the images out there at some point.
Thank you so much, Deborah. I really appreciate the message that you share about inclusivity and equity. And I think that's important, that nature reminds us of that. None of us are exempt from the spring and fall and summers and winters of life, and we all go through them and we all experience them. And so being able to share that with each other and remind each other that we're all temporal, it's really important, and I think honors each other's spirit. So
that's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for sharing your story, Sarah. This indeed has been a year in which I'm acutely aware that my business, career, and personal acts need more meaning to reflect my values. Check out photos of Sarah's floral vote message in today's show notes. I hope you find it as encouraging as I do. Okay, let's jump right into today's wonderful conversation with Ellen Frost of Local Color Flowers and Lisa Ziegler of the Gardener's Workshop. Both women are past guests of the Slow Flowers podcast, so I've added links to their earlier appearances in today's show notes. And full disclosure, the Gardener's Workshop is a financial supporter of Slow Flowers, and we consider its founder, Lisa Ziegler, an important partner in furthering our mission in the Slow Flowers movement. When Lisa told me she had recruited Ellen to create an online business course to help florists learn her unique flower sourcing approach, I knew this was an important topic for the Slow Flowers community, and I've asked them to talk about their project today. Here's a bit more about Ellen Frost. Ellen Frost loves flowers. Even more, she loves owning and operating a flower studio, which exclusively sources local flowers. Ellen founded her company, Local Color Flowers, in 2008 as a part-time wedding floral business to provide Baltimore area couples a more sustainable flower option for their celebrations. Over the past 12 years, Ellen has grown Local Color Flowers into a thriving business, adding floral design classes, corporate events, subscriptions, and retail, as well as creative, social, and educational community events, all using 100% locally grown flowers. Ellen's business is a vital contributor to Baltimore's local economy and a vibrant community resource. Here's a bit more about Lisa Ziegler. What began as a small cut flower farm producing for local markets has grown into so much more. Lisa has become a leader in the cut flower growing industry as an author, accomplished speaker, teacher, and the owner of The Gardener's Workshop. She's the author of Cool Flowers and Vegetables Love Flowers. In 2018, Lisa began creating online courses to share her programs and knowledge. This style of teaching, with its convenience, cost-effectiveness, and lifetime unlimited access, has proven to be another wonderful educational tool. In 2019, embracing technology even further and building an amazing in-house administration and support team has allowed Lisa to produce online courses for others. Lisa's farm, known as the Gardener's Workshop, is still a small market flower farm growing 100% outdoor field-grown crops, and also an online garden shop. The online store sells the same seeds, tools, supplies, and seed starting equipment that Lisa uses, as well as signed copies of her books. Lisa's simple, instructive, and delightful gardening messages are reaching far beyond any expectations she ever had. Let's jump right in and get started, and please join me in welcoming Lisa and Ellen. Welcome back to the Slow Flowers podcast with Deborah Prinzing, and I've got two returning guests today. This is really fun. I want to welcome Ellen Frost of Local Color Flowers from Baltimore, Maryland. Hi, Ellen.
Good morning. Hi.
It's great to see you.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, and of course, another good friend, Lisa Ziegler of the Gardener's Workshop from Newport News, Virginia. Is that where you are, Lisa? Wow, I can't believe
it is.
Can't believe I got that.
Good morning.
Good morning. Lisa's been on more recently talking about her books and her new online school that she's running. Ellen, I think you were an early guest, so welcome back. I'm really excited for people to hear what's going on at Local Color Flowers.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you guys are collaborating on a new course that Ellen is teaching for the Gardener's Workshop online school. And I think before we jump into talking about what that is, Lisa, can you just give everyone kind of an overview of what's happening with it? Started with one little course that you did, and now it's sort of, you're like the principal of the high school or something.
I hadn't quite thought of it that way before, Deborah. That's a great description.
That is a good description.
But not Jane Lynch. Like, you're the nice principal.
So, yes, I launched my first online course back in 2018 and just saw so much opportunity. And of course, I hung out with the right folks, the leaders, the movers and the shakers in the flower farming industry, and just people that had such deep and wide experience and knew that this was just a great way for them to reach even more people. And once I did it and saw how complex it is to actually build and support and market and get a course out, I knew that most of my friends would never go that path. So we kind of went into the business through the back door of producing courses for other leaders in the industry. And it is the most exciting thing I've ever done. You know, I love flower farming, but this is a whole different opportunity and just touching people all over the world in a very different way. And, you know, we're basically offering a lot of different ways for people to build a flower-based business.
Mm-hmm. And Lisa, that is such a natural progression, because when you did launch Flower Farming School online, I think you've renamed it, but when that first came out in 2018, it was complex. And I thought to myself, she'll never do this again. But you've done it again, but with other instructors, so that you're not having to, you're having to come up with all these topics. You're finding the experts to teach the topics in their field, but it's all aligned. They're all related to each other.
Right. My real goal, I taught the basic flower farming school. And then my students were like, hey, we want to grow perennials and woodies. Well, of course, Dave Dowling, was first to my mind. He was our first instructor. And then people said, I wanted to do weddings. How can we do that? Where do we go for that? And one thing just led to another, and that led us to Jenny Love for farmer florist school. And then even more opportunities in how people can actually participate in the local flower scene without actually being a farmer. Because not everybody, I don't understand why, not everybody wants to be a flower farmer. But they want to be in that crowd.
Yeah, I want to hang out with flower farmers, but that's about the limit of my skill set.
But but that's another piece of the pie. We need to build this. I feel like I'm building a stairway for people to be able to progress, to scale their business, to build their business beyond. And like people like me, I've been doing it for 23 years, I think now. It's like, okay, I'm backing off of the laborious flower farming part of it, doing something else. And I just love sharing those building blocks with other people.
I just want to comment on two things, and then we'll jump to Ellen. It seems like you're really recruiting and inviting the people who are at the top of their game and can share their knowledge because they're teaching what they know, which is supposed to be the most authentic way of teaching. So congratulations on that. And, I wasn't going to talk about COVID, but let's just say none of us can travel to these conferences and workshops right now. So who's filling the void?
Yeah.
And you're delivering content that's new and in demand into people's, offices and on their iPads. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. For once, I feel like I was ahead of the wave. We actually started building this and doing it before the need became even more intense as it is now. And because it's a lot of moving parts. And it's just a wonderful way to learn for anyone that's never participated in an online course. The fact that you get to go back and watch stuff over and over a year later, 2 years later, as your business grows and develops, the value is priceless. That is truly, that's part a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Otherwise, we're like frantically taking notes in the live presentation, and then that's it. Okay, well, so how did you come? I know you know Ellen Frost because you're both active in ASCFG, and you've known each other for years. How did you approach Ellen, or where did the idea come from to have Ellen teach? Because I think it's a brilliant idea, and the course is meeting a need that I see all the time.
Well, I have this little black book. And in that little black book are people that when I was, I traveled and did so many conferences and speaking, whenever I would hear somebody with a great message that was a great deliverer, I would just write it in there. And Ellen, I think I spent probably 2 hours chewing her ear off one day in a hotel lobby, telling her, this is before online courses, you need to do a book, you need to do something. What you're doing is what most people dream that a flower shop is about, but it's not. We know that it's not that way for the conventional flower shop. Anyway, so when we got to this next step, it was like Ellen is the next natural step to reach. I just think it's what the future of the flower industry is.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. So, Ellen, let's get you in on this conversation. You've listened to us talk about you, so now you can have the mic. I have to say, though, Ellen and I met really early on when I started writing about slow flowers, and you are a unicorn. I echo what Lisa said. You're doing it the right way that is so admired, and so many people want to know your secret sauce. So the course that you're going to be teaching is, what is it? It's called Growing Your Business with Local Flower Sourcing. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How did you kind of shape this course, Ellen? Is it I'm sure you have all these, all this know-how in your brain, and how did you translate it into a course?
Yeah, well, what I think originally the idea was, we have 13 years. We've been in business 13 years of experience doing a very specific thing, which is sourcing our flowers locally for all of the things that flower shops do: weddings, events, classes, subscriptions, single orders. But what makes us different is that we are sourcing 100% local. And so we always thought that this model was great. It was successful for us. It was super fulfilling for us. But because we intentionally kept our business local, our audience was local. I mean, we are not a nationally known company or flower shop. We have really focused our attention on our local community. And so when Lisa and I first talked, to me, it was like the perfect partnership, because we had a lot of information that we thought we could share, and we just didn't really have a way to share it,
Right.
a mechanism to share it.
Right. I mean, other than like your social media channels and your newsletter and that sort of thing, which I'm a subscriber, so I see that. But most people.
But most of our audience is, people in Baltimore who buy flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people who follow us on social media or who subscribe to our emails, they're what we call our flower people.
Yeah.
They're, our target market.
Yeah.
And so we don't have a lot of florists following us or flower shops following us in St. Louis or in Arizona or, anywhere else. We wouldn't have the reach that Lisa has.
Yeah.
And so for us, it was like the perfect match.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of the logistics of it. And then we really believe that sourcing locally can work for most florists, even if it's not 100%. And this is a lot of what the class is about. It really starts off thinking, well, I want to source some flowers locally. Maybe that's 5%. Maybe that's only for weddings. Maybe that's only in the summer. You can sort of tailor it to your location, your business model, your needs. So this is a class for, I think, a wide range of florists and floral designers and farmer florists. It has never been our intention to say it's all or nothing.
Right.
If you don't follow us 100%, then you're not doing it right, or you're not participating correctly. This could be for people who want to source American grown, or people who source most of their flowers, conventionally from overseas, but want to start building a local flower sourcing mechanism within their company. Ellen,
this is really important. I think you've tapped on the core objection that I hear all the time from, I'm in the, writing for Florist Review, I'm encountering a population of florists who don't think like you because they've been following I don't know if it's fair to say, the mainstream model, like go to the wholesaler, buy off the floor, pick by whatever suits your fancy, but no origin labeling that's not even on your radar.
Anywhere, no.
So this thing that is happening, in which any florist is asleep if they don't see, but it's happening on Instagram, like the celebration of the flower farmer, the celebration of seasonality, the celebration of like a kind of a values-based business. It's, if they haven't done it, it's got to be frightening or a little bit, there's barriers. So what you're trying, so you're trying to demystify that for people then.
Really to lower that barrier of entry for people, to say, you don't have to go all in. You can start with one farmer relationship. You can start on the smallest scale. You can start introducing your customers to a new flower every month that's grown locally, or, highlighting a local arrangement every once in a while. It doesn't, because there is fear. And, all of us get in habits and we do things the way we know how to do them.
Mm-hmm.
And then to say, hey, change the way you do things, that's scary. So this class is really to help people at whatever stage they're at the very beginning, if they've never sourced anything locally, or if they, are 50% in and they're like, I want to know what you do in the winter. I want to know what you do. How do you expand that? Right. So it's really for people at all ranges of the spectrum.
Wow. Well, I also think that, the timing couldn't be more perfect because what I've picked up on all year is this panic in the floral industry about sourcing and about, the access to flowers that may or may not be available now because of transportation and, all of that. So it seems to me, I'm hearing from a lot of florists who are joining Slow Flowers saying, I just want to find farmers. Like they've never looked for farmers before. And I'm sure they're all, there's a lot of people probably calling you and saying, how do you do it? Yep. So now you can say, well, hey, there's this fabulous 6-week course you can take. And at least I should ask you to jump in because I feel like Ellen's course is in some ways farmers should take it because it will help them understand how to market to people like Ellen. Are you seeing that among farmers?
Yes. And so funny because when I sat with her syllabus that we all have, and there are so many topics in here that would help the farmer market to the florist and to help them. Because what I wrote by class 3, which is the class of building the relationships with the local growers, I found that to be, the most challenging for my commercial customers. I sold to 23 fairly high volume florists. So I had a wide spectrum and they were all gun shy. They don't know. It's like, and I can talk to a wall. So I'm not intimidated by that. I'm just in there chatterboxing to them. This is what you have to do.
She talked to them until they said, fine, we'll buy your flowers.
I'll buy whatever you have.
It's true. But it's like, I will help you through this. Do not worry about it. Just call me up and we'll figure it out. There's no right or wrong way. But I totally see Ellen's course being a marketing niche for farmers to find their way to these people. Because I really believe that on the florist side of this is almost like the florist born again thing. They need to come out of where they are and
convert.
This is the marketing future.
Yeah.
I see it as the most tremendous opportunity in the flower industry for florists to now have somebody to help them get to this next level.
Well, it seems to me I'm thinking about the column that Ellen has written for ASCFG. You've written a column for many years about this whole conversation of the relationship with the farmer, right?
Yep. We have a Laura Beth Resnick from Butterbee Farm and I have a column in the ASCFG, and we have for 4 or 5 years now. Comes out 4 times a year, and it is a relationship between, or sort of a spotlight on the relationship between a farmer and a florist, and all of the things that go into that, whether it's just regular sourcing, partnerships, classes that we do together, challenges that we have, weather issues, sharing team members. There's lots of things that go into that article. But it is to, again, try to help farmers and florists who are part of the ASCFG realize that those rich relationships are not just fun and make your designs look more interesting. They're good for business. They're good for your business. And this is really a business class. This is to say you can change how your business is with local flower sourcing.
And you're kind of taking away the fear factor and, addressing the pain points, which are this concern that if I make this switch, overnight, I'm not going to have the flowers I really want. And you're kind of easing people through the process. They can't.
Yeah, totally. And we talk all about backup plans and, I have a backup plan. I've been doing this for 13 years. I always have a backup plan. If there's a hurricane, if there's a blizzard, if there's, COVID, we always have a backup plan. And we teach people how to put those backup plans in place so that, you don't have to be afraid. That's the number one thing. I remember when we first started out, I can distinctly remember calling Dave Dowling every 2 or 3 days and saying, what are you going to have available in a month? And he was like, I don't know. Stop calling me. This is not how it works. Whatever you think is how it works, this is not how it works. And I had such anxiety and such fear because I had these commitments and people had paid me money and I had to make sure that I had flowers. And I wasn't able yet because the relationships were not strong enough yet.
It was a young concept.
Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't trust it. I couldn't trust the relationship yet. I couldn't trust the process yet. And so I'm trying to help people who are not ready to trust the process yet.
That's a good way of putting it.
Just make small steps.
Well, I want to share a link to I think you've been on the podcast twice before. I'll go back and look. But
I think so.
I would like to share links to the kind of full story of Local Color Flowers, so people can go back and hear it. But maybe just for new listeners, you can just give us a quick little summary of how did you birth this business and how did you have this value so early on in your business?
Yeah, I'm not, I had no background in flowers. My background is in affordable housing development. So I worked in construction for many years. I always lived in a city. I didn't have any farm connection. So for those people out there that are like, I can never make the switch, you can definitely make the switch. So, I worked at a farm and a farmer's market just for fun with my friends very early on. And we met flower farmers that we enjoyed being around and talking to. And pretty quickly, I learned that I did not want to farm. I did farm for many years, and it really was not a good fit for me. But I knew that I liked being with the farmers. I liked being outside. I liked learning about flowers. I liked doing design. And, we had friends that were getting married, so it made sense, like a lot of people's stories, to do the flowers for those weddings. But what didn't make sense to me is the idea of buying those flowers from a wholesaler when we knew farmers personally who were saying to us, we don't know how to get our flowers out to the public. We don't know how to sell these or market these. It didn't make sense for us then to say, okay, we're going to go to a wholesaler and buy flowers from somewhere we don't know.
Anonymously.
Yeah, let's just buy flowers from our friend John, who we like and who we've been to his farm and harvested his flowers for him. That made sense. And so after doing that as a hobby for, a few years, we were like, well, maybe other people are into this. If we're into it, maybe other people are into it. And so when we started the company, there was no real question about should we source a different way. It never... I always say, like, we didn't know what we didn't know, right? Like, we didn't have any fear. We didn't have any,
no one was telling you.
Worried.
Yeah, no one was telling you it was wrong. Yeah.
No, I mean, we just thought this makes sense. And, part of the class, I'll just say, the first part of the course is really about the history of the floral industry and farmer florists in the United States. And we didn't know then that we were part of a rich history of people who had done this for hundreds of years in this country. That was the norm until 70 years ago. So what people then looked at us and said, oh, that's a weird model. That's different. That's countercultural today. We didn't know then that was the history of the industry.
Wow. Yeah.
We just thought, let's do it the way we think we can do it and move forward. And so, we started just doing weddings, and we did that for several years where we just did it during the field season. For us, that was about April to October. And we had other jobs and, but after a few years, I was like, this is really great. This is so much better than doing construction. Like, why am I still in a full-time job in an office when I could be doing this? So what had to happen in order for me to quit my job and do this full time was to figure out winter sourcing.
Right.
And winter sourcing is a big deal. It still is a big deal. And so it took me a few years to really put those relationships in place before I could say, okay, we're a full-time year-round business that can do weddings and do subscriptions and do classes all year long.
Mm-hmm. So Local Color Flowers, would you describe yourself as a full service flower shop? You're retail, right?
So weirdly, we only do 2 days of retail for a total of 8 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't understand that.
So our studio is in a residential neighborhood. It's near the farmers market, the city farmers market. And we are open for retail during the farmers market. That's Saturday, 8 to noon. And then for an open studio, Wednesday, 4 to 8. And that's it. And really, we've just sort of forced people to come during those hours.
That's really healthy. I mean, that's a great strategy because then you're not chained to this desk all the time.
Totally. We never intended to be, a 9 to 5 open all the time kind of shop. We do weddings, we do classes, we do garden club talks. We're doing a million things and we're a small staff. And financially, it didn't really make sense to pay somebody to sit somewhere for 8 hours a day waiting for somebody to walk in and buy something.
Right.
So instead we said, okay, we hear you. You want to come in, you want to experience the shop, you want to experience the flowers, but let's just limit
yes,
when you can do that.
Yes.
And that has worked perfectly for us. It's the best decision because it gives us the opportunity to still do retail, but also to do these other things that happen during the day. And also, allows me to go on a bike ride if it's a nice day. This is a lifestyle business. So I want the business to work for me, not just me work for the business.
Wow. I think that message will come through when you teach the course too, because there's I'm going to include the classes, the list of the classes in our show notes. There's 6 courses. And within each class, there's a lot of sessions. So we were not going to go granular on that.
Sure.
You have to take the course to get that information.
Yes.
But I do think that you're really showing people how you've created a business that matches your values. And you mentioned about taking a bike ride. There is this sort of philosophy that you've infused through Local Color Flowers about community, about relationships. And I think that's why people in your town, your people, they want to come hang out with you. And
I think that is really I think that's part of the secret sauce, right? Part of one whole class in the course is about finding your people, spending time marketing to your people, serving your people, because we don't need to, I always say this, we don't need to market to the masses. They're not right for us and we're not right for them. We have a small group of people that love us and we love them. And I think when businesses focus in on that niche of people, that's where they find success. That's where they find, their heart sings, because they're providing a service and a product that people love and that they love back. And so I don't know. I think that is part of the secret is you don't have to try to be everything to everyone, because you'll never be able to do that. Right. None of us, any business cannot do that and succeed. The way you succeed is narrow your market, narrow your people, dig down in that niche and really find the people that want what you have to offer.
Wow.
Amen.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yes. Well, so
class is so fun.
I'm ready to sign up right now. Okay. So, Ellen, you are kind of in the pre-launch right now, right? And so maybe we should ask Lisa to just talk about some of the mechanics and say that Ellen is giving away one course to a listener of the podcast, and we're going to do a promotion. So you have to listen for the end of the show. I'll have all the details. But this is a real game changer, and I thank you for your generosity, because this is going to, I think, hopefully just get one person to the next level. Then everyone else who wants to join in, you guys can come too. But I'm glad we're sharing the love with one listener. But Lisa, can you just talk about some of the housekeeping stuff, and so I don't get it wrong? You're going to open the course registration at a particular time, right?
Sure. It only opens once a year because it is a 6-week long class, which the instructors are always very active interacting with students. So we just do it once a year. Registration for enrollment is open November 16th through the 20th. That's only 5 days.
Wow. Okay.
The course is $495, and you have unlimited lifetime access to that course. And the school will actually start January 4th is when your first class of 6 is loaded into your online library. And for anyone that has never partaken in an online course, what happens is it's just like buying a book, but it's better. So instead of
it's a talking book.
Yeah.
But instead of picking up your book, you can just pick up any device that has internet access and you log into your online library. And when you log in, that's where your sessions and your classes are and any PDF downloads and the resources. And then each Monday, for a total of 6, a new group of sessions, many sessions make up a class, right. And you can watch them at your own pace. However, Ellen will be doing a weekly Q&A coaching session on Sunday evenings. So you have all week to watch the class from Monday, and then Sunday night, she's going to be taking your questions and interacting. We also provide a closed Facebook group where students can come together to build community, to share. Ellen will be popping in and out of there. And it's just really a much more interactive environment than a lot of people think. But my goal for our courses is that our students have access to our instructors to be able to feel like they can get all their questions answered. We really kind of like don't leave any rock unturned. Mm-hmm. So one way or another, if you have a specific question, it will be answered. And then you have access to that, next year and the year after and the year after. And I think people don't really get the value of that. And I can personally attest to this because I took a course to build online courses 3 years ago. I am currently going through that course again, myself and my IT person. And it's like I'm watching a whole new course because things that really didn't apply to my business at the point in time, I didn't really take in. And that's exactly how these schools are. Mm-hmm. And it's just really, really tremendous.
I think that the fabulous thing also is you're getting all these hours of instruction from Ellen, but the fact that, Ellen, you're going to be available for this kind of week-to-week check-in with students, even though, it couldn't be any other way but through Facebook or some platform, because you can't require people to come together for 6 weeks. That would disrupt people's lives. So you're making it accessible in a very convenient way.
So it is actually Zoom that we use for the Q&A. So people do not have to be a Facebook user to be able to interact in those weekly coaching sessions.
Okay, so they're going to be like the three of us right now. They'll get to see Ellen and get to know her, and she'll get to know them.
Yep. Yeah. So
Thank
Ellen,
God for technology, ladies.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
What I think is going to be fun is that people are going to be like, okay, Ellen, it's January 6th. Show us what you're designing with right now, lady.
That's going to be great. That's going to be so fun. I'm excited to share all of those details with people.
Yeah, because that is like, what a clever time to start. It's the most challenging month for any florist.
Totally.
Oh, yep. And then you'll kind of wrap it up around Valentine's Day.
Right around Valentine's Day. You'll be ready to start the year with your local flower sourcing.
Wow. I think this is great. Honestly, congratulations to both of you. It's a brilliant idea. It's no one has done this in a course or a book, as far as I'm concerned. So, lots of articles have been written, lots of interviews have been discussed about sort of how to find local flowers from the florist point of view and how to market to florists from the farmer's view. But this is kind of bringing it all into just a juicy package. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm inspired, and I think our listeners will be. I think the fact that you guys helped me come along and see the value of kind of two audiences, both the florist who was your original, intention, but then it may be applicable to the farmer who really wants to go after that wholesaling to florists, like that particular
Totally.
niche. Yeah.
I think it will definitely help set farmers apart. I mean, every market is different, but we here in Maryland, like we have a very saturated flower world. There's lots of people growing flowers. And if you like really understand how to market to florists and know what they're looking for and know how to, work with them, I think that is going to set you apart.
Yeah, it's a game changer. That's exciting. Well, I hope, Ellen, that you'll share some new photos for me to put in our show notes of what you're doing.
Definitely.
I actually posted yesterday your bouquet that is in the Slow Flowers Journal, and it was so. I'm just working chronologically through the book, so it was just simpatico that happened.
Awesome.
So we'll put that in the show notes too, so people
Perfect.
can see.
Yeah, we love that bouquet.
Oh my gosh, it's stunning. And thank you both for this wonderful conversation. We'll do it again. Lisa, can you just give us a snapshot of what's on deck for you? I know you've got a lot of something going all the time.
Sure. So of course, Ellen's new course coming out, and we also have another course that's coming online at the same time as Ellen's. It's a part of the Flower Farming School series, and it's growing cut flower crops in hoop and greenhouses. And that is with Gretel and Steve Adams of Sunny Meadows Flower Farm. And oh my goodness, they have 17 structures that they grow.
Oh, I've been there. It's like, it's a farm.
It is a farm. They
big.
actually have 2 locations, and they're just, and I mean, not to mention they're the cutest couple you have just ever seen. I mean, they're just such precious people and such great instructors. And so their course the registration is during the same time as Ellen's, and it starts in January. And that's like the next step for a lot of flower farmers. There's a lot of, in my experience, there's a lot of flower farmers out there that kind of got ahead of themselves, purchasing structures and not really knowing what to do yet. And Steve and Gretel are really going to connect the dots for folks. So you can, if you go to thegardenersworkshop.com and just go to these individual course pages, there's a get notified button on each page, which means you get on that instructor's email list. And that way you'll get resources that they send out, and we won't let you miss registration. We'll be dinging you.
Yeah. And I think, I think there's some really like amazing connection between what Ellen's teaching and then to have, she wants more people with greenhouses filled with ranunculus, right?
We're like the perfect combination, because you can grow all the stuff in greenhouse, and if nobody's buying it locally in the winter, what are you going to do with it?
Right.
You're a florist who wants to buy local and nobody's growing in a greenhouse. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Perfect combination.
Yeah, because otherwise these worlds are not connecting. So that's wonderful. Yeah. And they're actually, Gretel and Steve just shared an article about growing ranunculus and anemones that we posted on the Slow Flowers Journal online magazine. So I'll share a link to that too, because that's going to be a hot course too. And Helen, you told me before we started recording, and we're recording on October 20th, that you have not had a frost yet, but this is like you're watching the thermometer. So what will happen for you? When there is a frost, do you lose some of your farms then for the season?
For sure. Mm-hmm. So we go with the flow. So we do have several farmers, probably the majority of our farmers, that we only buy from during field season. So up until frost.
Sure.
And then once frost hits, we sort of pivot again. And we have been, through September and early October, reaching out to our winter growers, reconnecting with them. And these are growers who, we specifically, they know, I mean, it's not like a surprise. I'm not going to buy in the summer. They know that we're going to come back after frost, and we're going to buy right through usually Mother's Day or so.
Mm-hmm.
So we're building, sort of rebuilding those relationships early September, October. And then once frost hits, we start making orders with those new growers. And those are growers who have heated greenhouses, who have more structures, who have, evergreens and flowering branches and things like that. So we sort of make that change for the next few months.
I was thinking that your botanical palette really does change, and that's
Totally.
the whole expression of seasonality is what you do anyway. So
and I think that is, like, for me, like one of the most fun parts of our job, like our work. And I think as part of the class, I think it also helps people feel confident that they can change their designs with the seasons, that they don't have to always have peonies or always have ranunculus. Like, you can really make beautiful, high-end, unique arrangements with winter stuff. And so we love the winter because we feel so proud of our winter growers and our winter work. And so it's always the transition is always a little bit hard because the field growers are always very excited to get a break, and we're always very anxious for the break never to come.
Right. But everything you design is an opportunity to educate your customers, and you've got this core loyal customer who already understands it. But when you bring new people in, they get to hear the story. Cool. Okay, ladies. Well, this has been wonderful. I'm so delighted to have this chance to get on the screen with you and hear what's happening with this new course. Ellen, congratulations. And Lisa, congratulations for being so brilliant as to, recruit Ellen. And we'll get everybody the details in the show notes about how to enter the giveaway. And one person will get to be part of this course as a thank you gift from Ellen. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Deborah, for having us.
You bet. Okay. Take care, you guys.
Take care.
Thanks so much for joining us today for another fabulous and motivating conversation. If you want to add your name to the giveaway drawing for one free registration to Ellen's new course, be sure to post a comment about your local flower sourcing tip in today's show notes for episode 477. As we discussed, the online course begins in early January. What a fabulous gift this will be for one of our listeners. But what a fabulous gift this will be for anyone who registers, florists who want to change up their methods, and flower farmers who want to learn how to market to florists. And heads up, this is the final week to participate in the 2021 Slow Flowers member survey. We will close the survey link and end the giveaway promotions on October 31st, midnight Pacific time. You'll find the link in today's show notes. And to thank you for sharing your time to take the survey, we'd like to send you an etched Slow Flowers Society botanical bookmark and enter your name into the drawing for one free registration to the 2021 Slow Flowers Summit, valued at $599. But you must give us your name and contact information to receive the bookmark and enter the drawing. If you choose to respond anonymously, that's fine too, but we can't bestow our gifts. This is the final week that you can sign up for my first online course, Slow Flowers Creative Workshop, Floral Storytelling. The course begins November 1st, so check out links and take advantage of the $200 introductory promo code, meaning you can enjoy this course for just $97. It includes 3 modules, 11 lessons, 6 worksheets, and 3 writing templates. I'm excited to see you in the course. Our next sponsor thank you goes to Rooted Farmers, which works exclusively with local growers to put the highest quality specialty cut flowers into the hands of floral customers. When you partner with Rooted Farmers, you are investing in your community, and you can expect a commitment to excellence in return. Learn more at rootedfarmers.com. The Slow Flowers podcast has been downloaded more than 653,000 times by listeners like you. Thank you for listening, commenting, and sharing. It means so much. As our movement gains more supporters and more passionate participants who believe in the importance of the American cut flower industry, the momentum is contagious. I know you feel it too. I value your support and invite you to show your thanks with a donation to support my ongoing advocacy, education, and outreach activities. You can find the donate button in the column to the right at deborahprinzing.com. Our final sponsor thank you goes to Syndicate Sales, an American manufacturer of vases and accessories for the professional florist. Look for the American flag icon to find Syndicate's USA-made products and join the Syndicate Stars loyalty program at syndicatesales.com. I'm Deborah Prinzing, host and producer of the Slow Flowers podcast. Next week, you're invited to join me in putting more American-grown flowers on the table, one vase at a time. And if you like what you hear, please consider logging onto iTunes and posting a listener review. The content and opinions expressed here are either mine alone or those of my guests alone, independent of any podcast sponsor or other person, company, or organization. The Slow Flowers podcast is engineered and edited by Andrew Brenlin. Learn more about his work at soundbodymovement.com.